The AARN Bully Dog Next Gen Cup Series takes another turn, heading north this morning to the Granite State for 150 circuits around the Magic Mile. On the NASCAR schedule since 1993, New Hampshire Motor Speedway has had a rocky story to this point, but is becoming more and more revered as New England's home for NASCAR racing as the years pass by. Welcome to Pit Stop TV and the virtual Loudon, New Hampshire. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV, and it is a pleasure to join you as always for coverage of the All-American Racing Network and the Ideal Racing 150 at New Hampshire. Today's coverage is brought to you by Ideal Racing, by Bully Dog Coffee Company, and by Whiplash Creative. And yes, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, an exciting place to be here late in the summer of 2026. These guys need to make all the points they can get here. That is the name of the game. You have to be absolutely perfect throughout the course of the evening. Qualifying wrapping up with Coulter Clark on top, and already that's going to be a bonus point away to car 54. So if you're a Thaddeus Friel, a Greg Van Nice, a Chris Winstone, well, it might be about it, actually, trying to make the chase here this evening, or this morning. It's crack time, for sure. You've got to be on it. And it's going to be interesting to see how everybody actually battles around this cut line the last couple of races. We have New Hampshire here today. Next week, the series goes to Michigan. We will not be live. I intend to be on the racetrack, and then the week after, it'll be Daytona to wrap up the regular season. There's a look, though, at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. 1 mile in length, and technically it's 1.058 miles, just slightly over a mile depending on how you measure it. Just about 1.6 kilometers, 45 mile per hour speed limit in the pit lane. And this is the former Breyer Motorsports Park. Bob Baer, a big part of making this racetrack possible, and of course dates were shuffled and funneled to New Hampshire in favor of this racetrack versus tracks like North Wilkesboro in the 90s. And it definitely has an interesting history to get to this point, but we're glad to have it. I will say that in 2026, just maybe not the best way of getting dates to this racetrack back in the day. Regardless, here we are, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and here's a look in the sim. It is a gloomy day here at New Hampshire. Overcast skies, 70.2 degrees ambient temps, 79 on track, and the humidity is sky high, 94.7%. So it will be a gloomy, just kind of sticky, wet day here at New Hampshire, at least virtually, for these drivers to deal with. Here's a look at the standings coming into this race. Sean Hughes now on top. That's our first points lead change in quite some time, as he takes the top spot over Zach King, who had issues at Richmond a week ago. Chris Romano third in the standings, Coulter Clark fourth. I mean, the whole top seven, I'd say, is pretty safe. It's a little rocky for Doug Scalise, Elijah Mopin, Greg Van Nice, but they should all be okay as well. Corey Powell, really the only guy who can change that if he can get a run going and shake things up. But of course, there will be two wild cards that make it into the chase, and Corey Powell is slated to take one of them. The first goes to the driver with the most starts that is not yet in the chase. The second will go to the top driver with a win that is not yet in the chase. So that's why we talk about a Chad Fox, a Mark Bender, a Mike Rovillo, a Chris Winstone, a Thaddeus Friel, a Robert Hissong, a Christopher Foote. If any one of them grabs themselves a win, suddenly they become chase eligible and would be racing for a championship this season. That's how easily things can change if one of them gets a win and stays ahead of Mike Alley in the standings. Oh boy, they could have that wild card. They could be in the chase this season. So keep an eye on that. If we have an upset winner from that, 6 or 7 driver group, or anybody that's not yet in the chase, that could shake things up big time. Before we get into the race, well, actually, cars rolling off. Let's go ahead and do that. Cars getting ready to go racing already this morning at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and Coulter Clark, how about that? The 54 will lead us to the green. There's a look at your starting grid brought to you by ATVO. Thaddeus Friel going to join Coulter on the front row, followed by Jordan White and Greg Van Nice there in row number 2. Row 3 gives us Zach King and Casey Gross. Lillian, I know you're out there watching. We need a picture of Zach. In front of a white background, or at least something easy to cut out. We need a picture of Zach. It's about time we get Zach King and his mug on the broadcast. Back in 7th spot, Chris Winstone. The Chris's. Chris Winstone, Chris Romano, row number 4, followed by Joseph Essenberg and Cameron Combs. Josh Stout and Elijah Mopin there in row number 6, followed by Howard Peoples and Doug Scalus. A little farther back, Jason Thomas and Sean Hughes for your top 16, followed by Joe Conan and Corey Powell. Finally, CJ Allen brings up the caboose on the field here this morning. Drivers are headed down to turns 3 and 4. That's where myself, my grandfather, and my grandmother sat here in 2016. God rest her soul. That was a good weekend. Here we go. To get the Ideal Family, Ideal Racing 150 started at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We are green with Coulter Clark out front. Here we go, turn 1. Off of turn number 2, Thaddeus Friel, a run down the backstretch. Coulter Clark has got the inside. The top side just might be enough to do it here. Lap number 1, that's the battle for the race lead. I'd like to welcome in a very sleepy Zach Murtis, who was at Richmond last night for the NASCAR Cup Series and got to see a 3-time NASCAR Cup Series champion win at Richmond. Zach, Thaddeus Friel right to the lead, lap 1.
It's just ripping right now, and I am still a little sleepy coming off of Richmond last night. I got home around 4 a.m. But Friel straight to the lead. Zach King right behind him, looking to take the lead away down to the inside off of turn number 4. They are side by side for the race lead, and they're side by side for third. Right behind them, Coulter Clark and Jordan White going at it.
Zach King goes fastest and takes the race lead away here. Lap number 3, and suddenly the 51 is looking like the car to beat. A couple of drivers in the wall that time down the backstretch. And into turn 3, there's Thaddeus Friel to the inside. Caution is out. It's Jason Thomas, and it's Joseph Essenberg. Essenberg in trouble here in car number 10. I ended up not... Oh, no, I did change my fantasy team, so he's no longer on it. Okay. That makes me feel slightly better, but I did pick Joseph at first. So problems for driver 10. You see the Great Lakes Racing Chevrolet, and then you also saw the number 88 of Jason Thomas with issues there on the backstretch. Here is their run off of turn number 2. Thomas on the inside comes up, and just a little too far up as Essenberg had no farther to go, and Scalus got a piece of this. Here's Doug Scalus and his point of view. You see the downshift to third. It's a nice hook off the corner. Doing all right. And oh man, suddenly, boom, big hit to the right front. That is a huge hit, actually. That's a lot of damage. And that's definitely toe damage. That right front is towed out.
He just couldn't see right there, Andrew. For Scalus, that is. The car right in front of him. I mean, what are you going to do? It's just such a heads-up position right there.
The right front damage across the right front fender of that 16. It's hard to tell, but if you know what you're looking for, you can tell that right front is a little bit towed out on the number 16. Cameron Combs also came down the pit lane under this yellow. Not sure what for. Maybe just to top off on gas, as he only spent about 3 seconds in the box. And there's Jason Thomas, a good bit of damage to that Lucky Dog Racing number 88. Then the 10 of Essenberg looks okay, honestly. I think he just kind of got squeezed in the wall. Didn't even pit under this yellow so far. I think he really is going to be all right out of all of this. A quick look at the Whiplash SimCam's race details as these guys get re-racked and restacked. 150 laps, 158.7 miles. I mentioned this place is 1.058 miles in length, so technically we're going a little past 150 miles today. And you never know, we could go for extra distance in overtime. 255.4 kilometers, 3 change sets, only 3 change sets. That is a very tight window with which these drivers need to work within this morning. And certainly long-run pace and long-run tire saving will have been paramount in these drivers' testing and preparation for this event. 60% fuel load. Cautions, of course, count. 3 green, white checkers if we need them. Fixed setups, no fast fix, all the usual stuff. And the weather conditions, we looked at those briefly earlier. The track temp has actually come up a good bit, and the ambient temp has actually cooled down as we're into mostly cloudy conditions. Here we go. Green flag again. We are racing again at New Hampshire. One lap in from the restart this time by. How about Thaddeus Friel on these restarts? He's not going to lead back to the stripe this time, Zach, but that 98 looks really, really good on the short run. He's loose, though, to turn 1. Up the racetrack goes the 98. Chase in the back of that race car as Coulter Clark takes a look.
Yeah, Coulter Clark bringing that 54 car into the mix on the inside right now. Thaddeus Friel down into turn number 3. He sends it.
Oh, they both did. And Jourdain goes way to the wall back there.
A little big on the send right there. But Clark is going to end up losing through that send on the inside. Corner exit just benefiting the 98 a little bit more as now Clark switches to the outside. Zach King sets the fast lap of the race, and Clark is going to make it work on that top lane. Move the 54 car up to the second spot.
And so your top 4 get single file now. I mentioned Jourdain White all the way to the wall last lap, and he was way up there in the loose stuff. A little better this time around. He was joking with me about the fact that he was going to run all the way down to the apron this race, and here he is running the wall instead of the apron. As, free is the 98, and there goes Jourdain White down to the apron through turn 2, makes that pass on the 98 car, and gets up to 3rd spot. So, how about that? I guess he is going to use the apron after all. Battle for the race lead. Here is Coulter Clark on Zach King. The 51 and 54. Ten laps in here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Thanks for joining us this morning. Oh, great lunge to the outside there from Coulter Clark. Look, I have mentioned recently that Coulter has not quite been on his game. He just got a win in the BRB Sundance Pro Series this past Tuesday, Zach, and any win is a big confidence booster for any driver, no matter what track, no matter what car, no matter what series. You get yourself a win under your belt and suddenly you're feeling all right again. And this could be the beginning of him getting right back into his usual form. If that's the case, that's dangerous for all the rest of these drivers.
That it is, but I think you've got 2 drivers up at the front of the field that are honestly quite hungry for it. Coulter Clark has been one of the dominant drivers so far this season.
7 wins.
He is looking to continue that dominance. Then you have Zach King, who has been the points leader for quite a while. Not to mention, unfortunately, Zach lost his grandfather all too recently, and I'm sure it's been a little tough right now. He has stepped away from a lot of different leagues and just trying to focus on family. So to see him here today is definitely a step up from, him just experiencing that loss. And we're all here for Zach, and I'm sure his family is there for him as well, and I'm sure he wants to grab that win today.
Of course, our best wishes and condolences go out to the King family. He's done a great job of working through it, I think, at least on the sim racing side, and that's difficult to do, to stay consistent with it. I know he said initially he wasn't going to, and then I think they got it figured out. The family doesn't want to see him stop doing what he's doing. I think he really enjoys it, and it could be a good release. That said, focusing on the racetrack here this morning, I do think Coulter looks a bit quicker, but this track position is huge if King can just hang on to it, and he's doing a good job of making that car wide. Great battle behind as well. Look at this.
Yeah, I was just about to say, a little bit of track position has changed up. Thaddeus Friel has moved down to the 6th spot. Casey Gross is up to the 3rd spot in front of Jourdain White. Everything just changing hands at the moment. Looking at Jourdain and looking at Chris Winstone, this is a track that honestly benefits Winstone a little bit more than it does anybody else, because there's a lot of characteristics of New Hampshire that somewhat act like a road course. And I've said it before about a lot of tracks, but New Hampshire, while having a road course attached to the racing facility, which we'll be visiting with WRL, the oval itself there's different ways that you can drive this, obviously, with using the flat part of the apron to make passes or staying on the banking. And Winstone has said before, he said it to me, he said it to a lot of drivers, the more you learn to drive road courses, the more it can honestly help you on oval tracks, and even his coaches have told him that as well. And I think we're seeing it a lot more and more as Winstone develops in these oval leagues, running in the top 5 right now, and even looking a little bit quicker than some of these guys in front of him.
Chris continues to develop at a staggering rate, getting better and better, not just on the NASCAR Cup car side or any one particular. I mean, he's getting better in Legends, getting better in Cup, getting better in trucks. Just everything he runs, he's getting better and better as time goes on. And
he's the SVG of Pit Stop TV.
I guess, yeah. Comes over from the GT3 side of the North American Racing League and tries this oval thing out, and he's doing a great job of it. Here's a great battle for the top 2 positions. It is not relenting. I just wanted to cycle back to it as these guys continue on as well. A slightly new look there for Jordan White. He's taking it down to the inside of Casey Gross here in turns 3 and 4. And Zach, as these guys get laps in, I don't want to go too much longer before taking a look at the fantasy standings coming into this morning's race. Here they are. Zach King back on top of the fantasy standings, and I know you didn't get a pick in. I'm not sure if he's going over and checking now. But Sean Hughes down to second spot. Myself, I dropped a position as King moved up, so I'm down to 3rd. Winstone into the 4th spot. I will stay in the 4th spot with Jordan White. There is going to be a chase for this, so we're all going to get reset within the top 10. That's going to be nice to set us all up for the fall here, as those races are fast approaching. 2 more after today. Those will be Michigan next week and Daytona the week after. So not just for the drivers, but also for us here in the fantasy game. Time running out to make it into the top 10 and get set for the fall. The whole field's starting to string out a little bit, Zach. This car has a 60% fuel limit here today. I'm not exactly sure how long that'll take these guys around the racetrack, but I do think we'll see them probably pit, if I had to guess, somewhere around 50 laps to a run. And that is a guess, just based on other... Honestly, it could even be 60, but based on other tracks we've done with these cars and similar, maybe not the same, but similar fuel limits, I'm going to say 50 to 60, somewhere in there. It could be a little farther than that even. Especially, I mean, these guys are going to be running a lot less throttle over the course of a lap as these laps go on. You see them using a whole bunch of the racetrack, trying to find the best line. They are having a decent bit of fall off. We're talking about a second already.
I think 50 laps would be a reasonable amount. They're running a reduced fuel load, if I'm not mistaken. Anywhere between, I want to say, maybe 50 to 55, if we're being generous.
Big move here. This is Cameron Combs, the inside of Howard Peoples. Howard Peoples is actually a driver that is switched by Joseph Conan, or no, Joseph Essenberg picked too. So Peoples, a driver I'm leaning on for my fantasy team, drops down into the 10th spot here early in this race. He's not fighting for the chase or anything, so he doesn't have too much to worry about. And he's just kind of here to get some starts in. A driver who isn't necessarily fighting for anything today, Zach, but could use a good run is this guy, Chris Romano. 8th coming into this morning's race as Peoples has got trouble. He has parked it. Oh my gosh.
Oh boy.
Well, I guess that shouldn't have changed. Here he is off of turn 2. I saw someone get the wall and pull down. I wasn't entirely sure what was going on, and ends up ditching it off into the inside wall, and that will be it for car 28 today, it looks like.
Honestly, Andrew, if he released the brake a little bit sooner and kicked it back to the right, he probably would have kept it off the wall.
Rather unfortunate. We just hit the 1/6 mark, right? Yeah, 1/6 mark of this race. Plenty of time for this race to play out. We still have to see pit stops and such. I would expect as well, these guys have 3 change sets. That's 4 total for this race. I think if you plan on 50-50-50, that's 2 stops, 3 runs, and that leaves you with an extra set in case of a late caution. So if you can manage to go 50 laps on a set, you are in really good shape.
You get 75, you can make it on a 1-stop, though.
I don't think we're going that far.
You never know.
Newcomer of the field here in the 8th position, Josh Stout grabs the wall down the backstretch, but good to see him joining the field. He's brand new to the series, and Doug let me know we'd have a couple of new guys potentially today. He is the one absolutely new driver that I see in the field. CJ Allen hasn't run many races. I think we've seen him once or twice before. There is the driver of the 97. So he's in the field today, and then also Jason Thomas, who we saw a little while ago, the 88 car. He is making his 2nd start here today in the pit lane, unfortunately, but I might have a chance to get back out there and turn some more laps before the end of the afternoon. As here we go, Jordan White. He's starting to work that bottom now, Zach.
Yeah, trying to make it work and get up there and pass that 77. Way down on the flat is Jordan White. Trying to make that work. Now, he may benefit just a little bit from running the banking through the entry corner.
Big
he's
hit.
going to the wall.
Big slam into the wall. I think he just missed his braking marker. That was a big slap to the outside wall.
Chris Winstone comes right back into play. He is definitely going to try to make a move on his teammate here down into turn number 1, right on the bumper of the 83 car.
I'll be surprised if Jordan doesn't have any kind of damage out of that. It looks like he's okay for now, but you know, just because the steering wheel is straight doesn't mean there isn't still damage, you know, potentially to the camber of the tire. The steering wheel straight indicates that the toe should be okay, but the camber or the caster could be affected by how hard he hit that wall, and that could also affect the way that at least the right front is making contact with the racetrack. Whatever it's done, it seems like it's made it quicker in the short term, but in the long term, how is that 83 going to be affected?
If he has any right front damage, it could result in the fact that he'll burn off that right front a lot quicker than he would on a normal run. In fact, with how he's driving the race car right now, I wouldn't be surprised if he's burning the right front off pretty hard, as he's using the flat quite a bit. He's using it even after completing the pass on Casey Gross.
You know, I asked him about that last night. He was sharing his laps with us yesterday, you know, late last night, getting some practice in. I was like, hey, wouldn't it be better on the long run to run higher on the racetrack just a little bit? Because the laps he was running was way down on the apron. He would kind of angle up onto the banking for just a moment to kind of hook the car at the center of the corner, and I guess just use that on the right side tires to help turn it, right? Well, the bottom lane here at New Hampshire and the apron are both completely flat. It's the second lane where you get that banking, so that's what he was clipping. And I would think on the long run it would save your tires to go up a little bit higher, maybe keep all 4 tires within that second lane a little bit, just to take some load off the tires, so it's not, you have the banking to carry you a little bit. It's only a few degrees, but it's enough. He didn't seem to be completely sold on that. Said, you know, he found decent speed and decent tire saving still on the bottom, and you see him still working it a little higher there in center, but drops right back down and cuts the apron a little bit. I mean, he's committed to it.
I've heard from a few drivers that the apron here is actually more beneficial to run.
Brady Motes would agree with that.
Say again.
Brady Motes would agree with that, if you recall BRB here.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm mentioning. I remember him telling us about it at one point, and I was so confused, because normally from that standpoint, the apron, with it being flat, is not supposed to be more beneficial than running on the banking, which would be an easier load on the... It's so confusing to me.
Well, it's not confusing to me at the very least, as these two for the race lead, King and Clark, at the front of the field. You see the line they're running there to turn one. King a little bit higher up on that banking, Clark a little farther down, using more of the apron. I wonder, man, if Coulter just rolled the top side a little more. Got to run off the corner. Chris Winstone, trouble, turn two. He's not the only one. Thaddeus Friel in trouble. Two guys who cannot afford to have this happen. They both need to be in their best shape for the chase. This could keep them both out of it. Winstone is already towed back to the pit lane. Friel trying to drive it back. This is something neither of these two can afford.
From what I understand, Chris Winstone, he runs in VR, and his headset died. His screen froze. He couldn't see where he was going.
Oh no. The inside wall, bam, up into Thaddeus Friel. And that was exactly what Jordan White was kind of poking fun at about, you know, if he was running so low on the racetrack that he hit the inside wall down there in turn two. And clearly he's managed to this point, but Chris Winstone loses visual and just kind of keeps turning left, and I can't blame him. He doesn't know where he's at. Wow.
It's just insane.
I'm about at a loss for words. For it to be these two in particular involved in this, for it to be Chris that it happened to initially, and then to collect Thaddeus. Oh my gosh. Here's the
That's
look
just
at
two
it
quick cars
from Thaddeus'
out of this
point of
race.
view. I mean, he's gonna be thinking, what in the world? Wow.
I have no words right now. That is...
They seem to have both called it a day.
That is spectacularly unfortunate.
Drivers seem to be staying out under this caution. You see... Actually, no, I'm sorry. They just pitted. That was their outlap out of the pit lane. So, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Everybody has come in for service. 4 tires and fuel across the board. And that would be the expectation, certainly after that long of a run. So everybody in for service under this caution. This is slightly early, Zach. Maybe you break it down, still 2 stops from here. Maybe you try to extend it. Obviously, time will tell. We don't know exactly how the race is going to go from here. 110 laps to 111 when we get the green flag here in a moment. So plenty of time to get things figured out. But this is just another wrench thrown in along the way. A big thank you to our partners with the series, though. Bully Dog Coffee Company, Happy Pet HQ, Ideal Pest Management LLC, Ideal Training, Ideal Canine Training, that is, LLC, Ideal Racing, the entire Ideal family, bringing you this race here today. They have a lot going on. They really do. Corey Powell, yeah, he's got a lot happening under that roof, if you will. Here we go. Restart. 111 to go. New Hampshire. We are racing again down to turn 1. Jordan White deep in the field on the restart. He spent extra time fixing the damage we saw him get on that last run. But up front, Coulter, Clark, the send on the outside to the wall. He goes in 3 and 4. And that's Zach King right back to the point.
Casey Gross still holding in the 3rd spot. Now he does not have the threat of Chris Winstone and Jordan White behind him. But Cameron Combs has taken over that threat. He is looking to try and take this position away. Oh, gets loose. He's starting to go around.
He got tagged, 100%. That or it was a bad shift, one of the two. And Combs is around. That is a caution. So the 15 having trouble here. He's been getting a lot of the fastest laps in these races. And Zach, if we toggle that, well, it's King right now, but he has had a bunch recently. Has been spoiling that pick for us on Sunday mornings, but today, unfortunately, turned around out of turn number 2. We'll see here. Did he actually have contact? That's the 9 of Stout to the inside. I believe the 9 got him here, because we saw a jolt there to the 15, and yeah, there is contact. And sure enough, that sends Cameron around. And, I mean, look, if we add 100 laps to the completed lap count, I think this is okay. I mean, they're going for the spot, but you have 110 to go. There's a car exiting the pit lane down low. I don't know if Stout needed to be in that spot at all. But he sweeps up, he got tight, and just gets up into Combs, ever so slightly.
Yeah, it's just a tight spot right there.
And you know what? If Stout was here all season for points, it's different too. This is your first start, though. And that's not a great way to make friends. A little bit of patience goes a long way. And I feel I can speak from experience on this. I ran Iowa a couple of weeks ago with these guys. And, I mean, admittedly, I got pole, so, like, I had to go for it at the start, and then I jumped the restart anyways, so it was whatever. But, you know, from there, I obviously served my penalty, got back on the racetrack, and when I got back out there, I was, you know, tail end of the field. There was no caution to save me, so I was tail end of the field and trying to make spots back up, you know, a lap down behind everybody, and I just patiently worked through, let guys do their thing. I was faster than a lot of guys I was behind, admittedly, but a little bit of patience goes a long way, Zach. Just letting guys do their thing, especially when you've not been here all season. You're just getting to know these guys. Look, it might be incidental contact, and frankly, if you know, if that was Ty Gibbs and I don't know, Chase Elliott there or something, you know, they're racing together all season. Maybe it's not that big of a deal, but when you're the brand new guy here, you got to watch out. A lot of pit stops under this yellow. Zach King, one of them, and he is joined by Coulter Clark, having gone to the pit lane, along with Jordan White. So those three all hit the pits for a little bit of extra fuel here. They must know something we don't, Zach, and that would indicate to me, if they're giving up that track position for fuel only, I think we might be pretty close with that 50 to 55 lap guess for fuel.
Roughly.
If they feel the need to top off, that tells me that it's close. So with 107 to go here on the restart, you know, that tells me about 50 to 55 laps per tank, and they're trying to have some insurance in case this thing goes green. Here we go, restart on the way. New Hampshire Motor Speedway once again, lap 44 complete, 107 to go. 106. There's the field down the backstretch here, the Magic Mile. You can see that road course you mentioned earlier, Zach, off the back straightaway. That's where a lot of it goes. Also, the inside of each set of oval corners. There's some road course corners down there that are fun. I don't know that a cup car would fit on them.
Maybe not. A legend car can certainly fit on there.
Motorcycles.
Yeah, motorcycles can fit on there too. Ooh, in the wall.
Sean Hughes got in the fence that time. Mopin reacts down to the inside. Cameron Combs slow down the backstretch. He gets that car pointed back the right direction. He is 15th spot, just a couple of cars behind him, and they are both, well, they are all laps down. Two of them are parked. Those are Friel and Winstone, and then two still running. Those are Thomas and Peoples, 14 and 16 laps down, respectively. In the wall, big time. I believe that was Vad Nice in the 24. He is slow off of turn 2. Here comes Coulter Clark to the inside, maybe. And that's a big move from Clark to the inside. Big in the wall now for Conan in the 72 car.
Jordan White was ripping right there on the bottom as these guys are trying to march themselves back to the front.
Way up the racetrack again, all the way to that loose stuff for Conan in that 72 car. Way up there. Didn't even get that great of a run off the corner. That's the benefit. You know, if you're going to go up there, you need to get a run out of the corner. He did not, as they're 3 wide down in turns 3 and 4. Clark through the middle. He backs out. White will clear. Clark now clears the 72. And Zach King, by the way, is up into 4th position.
He's been moving forward. These guys are getting held up with battles, and King is just marching away. That's not what they need to see. They need to be sticking with that 51, following him forward.
He just restarted 10th. Not even 5 laps ago. Here he is, the runoff for turn 4. Going to have the best of Sean Hughes. That's good for 3rd spot. So Zach King, at least at this point, Zach is, I think, looking like the favorite. Let all those laps get the race started. We just saw the total, and he is just adding and adding. So there we go, 3 wide off of turn number 2. Clark through the middle. They clear the 10 by the straightaway. That was really nice from Clark and White both. Coulter gets the spot back away from Jourdain as they are now 6th and 7th. And chasing down the 75 and 66 now. Look at this. King is on the leaders. The top 3 under a blanket.
All very close together. Zach King is looking down the back straight.
Wow.
Romano looks at the bottom 2, moves to the left. King goes to the top side, and I think he's going to benefit more up there than he would on the bottom lane.
Was that a block attempt out of Romano, or was that trying to let King go? I can't tell. I mean, he turned left on the straightaway and then just kind of dropped anchor, so it was like he was blocking, but then...
Your guess is as good as mine.
checked up really hard for the corner. I honestly don't know what Romano was doing there. Either way, King gets by, and I mean, these guys are on equal tires. That's the most astonishing part to me. You know, King came back in, but it was fuel only, along with Clark and White. So these guys are on the same tires, and Zach is just driving circles around them right now. I mean, Clark and White are making spots up too, but not nearly at the same pace.
Yeah, King is just scooting away from these guys. You see Coulter Clark in the background. He is fighting with Sean Hughes for that 4th spot to try and get it away from him. To the inside is the 54, all the way down to the bottom. As these guys up at the front of the field continue to scoot away, there's Coulter Clark. He has made the pass to 4th. Jourdain White is now trying to pass Elijah Mopin. See if he can take that spot away. Way down to the bottom is the 83 on the 66. That top line just keeping these guys in contention.
White working the apron again here in 3 and 4, trying to get to the inside of Sean Hughes. Not quite able to do so there. Here comes Mopin back on the outside. Elijah not giving up. He has gotten so much better. I gotta say, if you look back, 6 months ago, all right, go back to, I guess, that'd be February. So yeah, the start of the season. Even 4 months ago, Elijah was not bad, but he was not bringing the fight into these guys like he was, or like he is now. I mean, he has gotten so much better, just a 4 or 5 month span, and now joins that crew over at Ideal Racing, and he just continues to get better and better as time goes on, refining himself as a driver, has made good friends with a lot of these guys that admittedly are faster than him, and I think that's helping. Just talking to some of those guys, getting more laps with them, goes a long, long way. The effect is very clear for that 66 car. As he does drop that spot into 7th, but he's going to make the chase. I think it's pretty safe to say that. And he is a threat in my mind, at least for a top 3 spot in the championship. I wouldn't put him down as a threat for the championship itself just yet, but he's going to be in the conversation. He's not going to go down without a fight. He has gotten so much better.
Oh, absolutely. I think as the season has progressed, a lot of these drivers have really started to develop into their own. When we saw these guys in their first race that we ever broadcasted for them, which was, I believe, a recruitment race at Bristol, I feel like a lot of them have changed over their skill level, how they run the car. We've seen a lot of these guys grow and develop.
Undoubtedly, yeah. It's night and day, honestly, from that recruitment race back in, I think, January. The boosted safe 150 they ran. Complete change of how this league is, and certainly for the better. They went from, not even 10 cars in that recruitment race. Doug Scalis has put together like 4 or 5 series, all active right now. With solid rosters. They just added a new one this past Tuesday. They got racing in the ARCA cars at Charlotte Motor Speedway. You know who was in that race, Zach? Here's a move from Zach King to take over from Casey Gross. not quite complete, but Emily Shuffles, Chris Winstone's better half, was in that race. She's getting her oval on, and she didn't have the greatest start, admittedly, to the season. She kind of left a little bit early after some damage, but she's learning. That's how you start, and that's exactly what that dev series is for. So I think there's 4, maybe 5 active series right now, and they are all popping off very nicely. Even this series, the car count is coming back up a little bit. That's good to see as King continues to work on this lead position. This is lap 60 now, and Zach finally has him clear.
Remember, what was it, a few days ago, maybe a week ago, that Chris Winstone was talking to us in our in one of our various group chats, and he had told us that Emily had run faster laps than him in an ARCA car at Charlotte and was more competitive. And I honestly thought that was pretty funny. But on the outside, Coulter Clark for that second spot on Casey Gross, trying to make it work. He got to the right rear. He has got side by side with him and clear. Now it's right back to where we were not too many laps ago, the 51 leading and the 54 chasing him down.
And Romano's back in this fight, and here comes Jordan White. I mean, 5 cars all on top of each other. Sean Hughes is back now behind the 66 of Mopin. Here's the onboard from Jordan White, looking up at the 77 and the 44.
Jordan looking at going through the middle there. At least I thought he was going to. Gets on the back bumper of the 77. And stays to the inside here on Romano. No, he's clear, Romano.
Romano hanging up on the outside, not wanting to give up that position, but going to have to for now, as they continue to separate themselves from the rest of the field. Admittedly, a lot of the chase drama is out the window with Friel and Winstone sitting in the pit lane, and this makes the final 2 races of the regular season that much more important for each of them. Other drivers that could have set that, really nobody. I mean, Corey Powell, if he were to win, would change things up. That's about it. So it really comes down to just a race for the win here today now. A lot of the points drama out the window, and it's going to make it that much more important to be absolutely on your game at Michigan next week. Daytona you can't count on, all right? Look, I know, even just from our approach at Whiplash, for example, we want to get Chris in the chase if we can, right? But we can't just make that happen with a snap of our fingers. I mean, he's got to get his game together, frankly, and today is an outlier, but he'll be the first to admit he's had some struggles getting used to this car and this kind of competition. He's been hitting the wall a lot. That's part of learning. No fault to him. He's getting better as time goes on, but he is also hitting the wall on occasion, as here is Clark on the back bumper of King, a shot there in turn 3. I guess we'll talk about this for a moment. Here we go. Battle for the lead.
Clark looking low. He has shown that he has got the long run speed over Zach King, and he wants to put it to good use.
Battle right behind him, too. Casey Gross, Jordan White. Here's the fight for third into turn number 3. White back down to the inside. You see Clark working over the 51 of King. These guys are racing really, really nicely here for these top 4 positions. Romano starting to lose touch of them. While they stretch back out, back on the Chris Winstone, Thaddeus Friel conversation, they're really the 2 spoilers. I think either one of them is capable of getting a win these final 2 races of the regular season, but they have got to be absolutely perfect these final 2 races, especially next week at Michigan. That's going to be so important because you cannot count on Daytona these days. Even though it's a wild card that might feel like your best opportunity if you're one of them, you cannot count on a place like Daytona. That's just, especially the final race of the regular season, that's just not not how that works anymore. Here we go.
Run Clark had. Big shot off of turn number 2. And he has got to the inside of Zach King. Down into 3. He's going to send it on the white line. But that 51 car is just so strong up top. He is not letting Coulter Clark get to the lead. King still leads off of 4. Here comes Casey Gross to the inside.
Gross making a look there to the inside of Clark. White Fills the gap on the outside of the racetrack now. Very close racing. Jourdain going to have the run off of turn number 2. That should have him clear by turn 3, and it does. So the 77 slinks back into 4th position to lick his wounds and see if he can get back up to the 83 car. Maybe a shot there off of turn 4, and that's just going to stall the 77 even harder. So laps winding on as we get closer and closer to halfway in this race. You can see as well that morning layer of clouds is burned off. We are into mostly cloudy territory. The track temp is warming up, 92 degrees as the ambient temp kicks back up over 70. The humidity breaking a little bit. Here's a move to the inside from Coulter Clark, looking for the top spot. Nearly hits the 51 in the left rear quarter panel. That was close.
Clark wants this. He wants this bad. He has had the speed to contend with that 51. A little block down the front
Big
straightaway
dive.
to the inside. Big send by
Locks
Coulter
up
Clark.
big
He's gonna
time.
push
Hits
up
him.
into King.
Jordan just a little bit. You saw that lock up into the corner, and they're off the corner. Coulter Clark has the run down the backstretch, turn 3. You see King dancing around the reach, trying to find the spot they want to be into turn 3. Clark way down to the apron. He's going to have the 51 cleared. A cutback opportunity for King. Tries the crossover. It's not going to happen by the stripe. What can he do in turn 1?
He's still taking that look. He's going to put that car on the quarter panel side by side with Coulter Clark getting contact. Up the racetrack, they both go. King threw it in there real hard to try and make it happen. They're still side by side, but Clark's clear off the corner.
That was a big you hit me, I'll hit you. It didn't quite work out for Zach, but he took a shot there. Gotta give him credit for that, as here comes Jourdain White to the inside of car 51 now. These 3 have easily been the best to start this race, but this kind of battling, burning their tires up, even if they are better on pace than Casey Groves, Chris Romano, this is the kind of racing that will keep those 2 in the fight.
Yeah, Jourdain White now trying to stay in that fight and keep himself in contention for this race win.
I love those shots.
Right to the back bumper.
I love those shots right into the corner. There's a hit, and there's a caution. Howard Peoples around. He just exited the pits. He is having a bad day. He was literally, I believe, 1 lap removed from the pit lane. Here he is, exiting the pits a lap earlier. He is 18 laps down, so he had just come in for more service and I think was in there for a couple of laps.
He had recently moved out of the way for the leaders, and it looks like it's going to happen this time, so he stays low.
Yeah.
Lets the leaders roll. He was merging back up and then immediately turned back to the bottom. So now he's way down there.
This is the
on
out
the flat
lap.
part here.
It's the next lap around that he has the spin. I can tell you, by the way, we have mixed decisions on the pit lane, as these guys have run about 32 laps on this set of, 35 laps on the set of tires, roughly. Here's Peoples down to turn 3. We'll see what happens to the 28 car, and then we'll cover pit stops, at least the effect of them, as watch this red and black Ford at turn 3. Just deep, misses braking
Bounces
marker or
off the wall.
something. Slides, and nobody hits him, thankfully.
Surprised that was a caution.
I get it. The leaders were fast approaching. The rest of the top 10, at least, was fast approaching there. That easily could have been a whole lot worse. Whether for Romano or anybody else, as this caution, again, gives us a split decision. You see the top 4 have stayed out. That's Clark, King, White, and Stout. But then from Gross on back, all pitted. And, they have the set to do this, Zach, but this ties your hand. You've only got one more set in the pit lane. Technically, yeah, this works. I don't know. You've got to go at least about 40 before you can put that final set on, and then you're banking on not having a caution late. I think I would have done what the leaders did, personally. I think I would have done what the leaders did, but there can be value to this. From here, everybody still has to pit one more time. So if it were to go green from here, the guys that pitted are gonna look. I can't talk. They're going to look like geniuses. There we go. Because everybody still has to make one more stop, and they've got tires. They will absolutely, I think, pass the top 4 with relative ease. But if we get more cautions, that's where I start to get concerned for that strategy of guys pitting under this yellow. So we'll see if this ends up catching out the leaders, or if the leaders are doing the right thing staying out. This is going to be an interesting one to watch play out. Here we go. Restart zone coming up for Coulter Clark, Zach King, and everybody else. Just past halfway. 76 complete, 74 to go at the Magic Mile. Watch Romano through the middle here. Gets the run on the outside now of Jordan White. That 83, the first to fall. Here comes Gross. Those new tires going to slice and dice through this top 4, Zach.
That they will. As Clark gets a big jump out in front, half a second over Zach King. Look at Romano way down at the bottom. We're 3 wide in turn 2. 3 wide behind him as well.
Big moves off this restart. Gross and Romano, this could be the race for the win. If this does go green, these two with these tires, this could be huge for these two as they are using the entire racetrack a little farther back. Look at all of this. Every line getting used. They hit the corner and they all fan out. There's a look down the backstretch. Stout falling back to Mopin. That is for 7th as Romano works to the inside of Zach King here. That's going to bring... Yeah, Hughes along with. Gross is already through. Gross is up to 2nd. He will be on Coulter Clark very, very soon for the race lead. Here's that fight. Every position right now in the top 10 is changing hands as it's a battle between King and Hughes for 4th. These guys, again, this is going to be interesting to watch play out because the drivers that just pitted, sure, they have this set for now. They don't have another set in the pits at all. Or they have one more. Sorry. So they have to make one more stop at some point. They will have to put that set on. If there's a late caution, they just don't have it. Meanwhile, the leaders that had stayed out under this yellow, again, they could afford 2 more tire stops. However they want to play that. That's on them. And here goes Casey Gross using those new tires to the inside of Coulter Clark. Powers right on by car 54, and here comes Chris Romano now.
Big gains by the 44, and then down into turn number 1. Big send on the outside line. He's going to draw next to Coulter Clark, and that is going to be an easy 2nd spot for the 44.
Romano takes off down the backstretch, leaves the 54 in his dust. That'll bring Sean Hughes along with, and... Oh, problems! Van Nuys into Zach King. He saves it. King just drifted 3 and 4. You see him come over in front of Van Nuys, kind of show his displeasure there down the front stretch. Greg takes a peek back to the inside, might shove him around a little more. Back to the inside. Here comes that 24 car. Looking for this spot on Zach King. Doors him up the racetrack. Absolutely used him up.
I think Zach King's going to be happy about that one.
Yeah, I agree with him. He's not going to like it. It is part of it, though. You stay out on these old tires, everybody behind you takes them. That's just part of the game. And, I mean, he's doing a great job making it harder on these guys, but... Yeah, I mean, he's got to know these tires aren't going to last as White looks to get back by the 10 car here of Essenberg. It's not going to happen there. And frankly, I can't recall many situations where we've seen this happen where the leaders stay out like that and end up getting passed up like this by brand new tires. This does not happen very often where the best drivers here stay out and just get absolutely gapped by guys who pitted. And I mean, Gross and Romano were not far behind them either, so it makes sense that they got straight on by. Hughes as well. These other guys, I mean, it's just it's a weird juxtaposition for them, because suddenly they are faster than those drivers, and so they have to take advantage of it as quickly as they can. You see that even here with Essenberg trying to hang on over White. White takes the spot back away. As we approach the final 50 laps here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, a good look at most of the field there down the back straightaway, and back into this fight with Vad Nice, Maupin, and Clark. Another big thank you to our partners here this season, as there goes Vad Nice, the inside of car 54. Bully Dog Coffee Company, Happy Pet HQ, Ideal Pest, Ideal Canine, and Ideal Racing, and the entire Ideal family powering so much of what this league is able to do, not just this series, but this league as a whole. I mentioned earlier there are 4 or 5 active series. They are very much branching out and doing a good job of it. They've got a good website going on. Douglas is putting in a whole bunch of work as Clark checks up big time there, loses the 4th spot. Bully Dog Coffee Company, founded by Patrick Bowler with nearly 2 decades of experience in the coffee industry. Well, Bully Dog turns the process of making coffee back into more of a ritual, better supporting your caffeine needs, and local dog shelters in central Arizona in the process. A portion of proceeds go to dog shelters in Arizona to help local dogs around Bully Dog Coffee Company in central AZ. And order your first pound of Bully Dog coffee for as little as $15 with promo code FAST10 at checkout. That is promo code FAST10. I believe that takes, I wrote this little blurb months ago. I believe it's a 10% discount, so it takes the lowest priced bag on the website down to $15. So again, you can get your first bag on the site for $15, at least as low as $15, with that promo code FAST10. And look, the coffee world is ever evolving these days. Admittedly, I'm more of an energy drink guy. My better half, Kayla, she just got back into coffee. She's trying something here, I think maybe tomorrow. She's going to start. We went to Target yesterday. Anyways, I do think we're going to go ahead and grab ourselves a bag of that Bully Dog stuff here very soon. There's a big hit for Stout. Everything, every coffee works differently for somebody. Right, Zach? I know you're not a coffee drinker, but it's like anything in the world. Like, everybody has a different experience, different mileage for everybody. So give it a shot. See what Bully Dog has to offer for you. A lot of great flavors. JAM Coffee as well, a big partner of this series. They sponsor a handful of races throughout the course of the year. They've got some options. But Bully Dog, Patrick Bowler, what he does, that's a great mission as well. Just the mission to put that money aside. It's not just pure profit for him. Sure, he has a business to run, Zach, but he's putting that back into his community, and that's the kind of cause I like supporting, personally. Especially, you see the logo. It's bottom left there on your screen, or I can actually pull this back up, I suppose. You see the pit bull there in the center of the logo. You can tell where the Bully Dog part comes from. It's to support pit bulls, especially, which are generally a dog breed that gets the short end of the stick.
Yeah, if I were to try some coffee, I would definitely look at potentially trying Bully Dog Coffee Company. As Stout exits the pit lane, he spent 8 seconds in there. We saw him, like you just said, Andrew, have that contact to the wall. Doesn't look like too much damage because he only spent 8 seconds in the pit lane. Might have just been a gas and go right there.
I think a gas and go would have been faster. That might have been a two-tire call, especially since how much of these drivers just pitted. That might have been 2 tires for him. It is a little bit puzzling for sure. Of course, the new pit stops with this NASCAR Cup car a good bit faster. Shaved about 4 seconds off the average pit stop, and it definitely is changing up how these strategies have to be played. That 8-second stop indicates to me that likely was not 4, but also was potentially more than just fuel. As you see, Casey Gross out front by nearly a second. Want to give a big thank you to our partners as well here at the channel: Whiplash Simcams, MX-Wraps.com, ATVO, Murders Esports, CC's Business, the North American Racing League, Whiplash Creative, and TZO Designs. So as this run goes on, pit stops should be on the way for our leaders anytime in the next 10 laps to set themselves up for the end of this race. Scaleless has just passed King. If you want reference on kind of how these tires are working out for guys like Zach King, he is dropping in a hurry. And into the pit lane, here comes Jordan White. I told you, pit stops were on the way.
Yeah, but you don't want to be the first one to pit.
I'll challenge that. Just wait a little while. Jordan's going to get back out there. Their best laps, mid-29s. They are currently running 30s, 31s. He's going to pick up a ton of time as soon as he hits the racetrack again. A little deep in the box.
Oh, he missed his box.
That is what you can't do. Here comes Coulter Clark to the pit lane.
A 54 car, nice and slow and steady into the box.
King does not.
That leaves Zach King.
White down and away, 10.53 seconds. He will be a lap down and some change. And nearly gets the inside wall there on pit exit. Here comes Clark, still down into his box. Has not even made it to his box yet. Now he's in. And we now watch for King to hit the pits. He will not, it looks like. He stays out. Clark, a long time in the box, Zach. Oh, man. This is a long stop. He didn't have his tires checked. Guarantee you.
That is a big...
Yeah, he just gave up 8 seconds. He gave me an entire straightaway there. I mean, Jordan White is way down to turn 3 already. That is a huge, huge choke, honestly, for Coulter Clark. That's what that is. So there's Coulter out of turn 4. There's Jordan to turn 1.
And Jordan was behind
Coulter.
The top 3 that we were looking at early on, these are pretty much the pit stops that we're monitoring. So we saw Jordan slide through the box slightly. We saw Coulter Clark have a big misstep on the pit lane. And now we cut to Zach King. Let's see if he can have a mistake-free stop. He's into the box. Tires are up. Heading to the left sides, and this should be a very straightforward stop. Out and away, 10.2 in the box. Yeah, faster than Clark, most definitely.
Jordan's already passed him, though. Jordan's already, 5 seconds up on him. Here's Zach getting onto the racetrack on the backstretch. There's Coulter Clark in the background, so you can tell just how much time Coulter gave up in that exchange in the pit lane. I mean, look, I hate to be so blunt on one of our drivers, Zach, but he choked. That was rough.
Yeah, it seems like all of them made some sort of big misstep. Jordan slid through his box. We just covered that, and obviously you just said Clark with the misstep in the pit lane. I think King's misstep, even though we didn't see a bad stop or a bad roll through the pit lane, was that he stayed on the racetrack longer, and he was caught in some fights that made him slow up a little bit more. And something's going on in the backstretch here, and a lot of drivers...
Caution. Jason Thomas around. Car number 88, this is going to be disaster for those drivers who just pitted. It will save Jordan White, but that is it. I mean, King and Clark now trapped a lap down. Maybe they get the wave around, but frankly, if I'm the leaders that pitted 27 laps ago, if I have a chance to trap Zach King and Coulter Clark a lap down, I am not pitting. Absolutely not, and it's too early, honestly. Here's Jason Thomas
here into turn 1.
Yeah, the number 88 having some issues today. This is out of turn number 2. Not the first issue we've seen for the 88 car. Just broke loose. That looks like classic New Hampshire to me. Just never really got on the brakes until he was staring straight at the safer barrier.
Now, from what I understand, there was a lot of driver communication of the 88 just staying there. People saying that he was stuck on the backstretch, he was beached. Needed to be a tow as, yeah, he just gasses it up a little too hard off corner exit, hits the wall on the inside, just stays there. And the caution is not out at this point. He's still there. He's still there. He's out of the way. Backs up onto the racetrack. Yeah, that's where it happened right there. Then he gets rolling.
Yeah, so that's going to be frustrating for those drivers that just pitted, Zach, because that did not need to be a caution. He had smashed into the inside wall and could have just towed off. Here it is. So let's wait for the moment he's stopped. All right, he is stopped there. Let's switch to the pace car here. Lights are not on. Let's let it play. Lights are not on. Lights are not on. iRacing is not deemed it necessary for a caution yet. Wait for the lights to come on. Right about... Wait for it. There.
Still waiting. There it is.
And go to the 88, and sure enough, that was moments after, if we rewind, moments after he had backed up onto the racing surface. So frankly, that's pretty valid, honestly, for those drivers to be upset. It just didn't need to happen.
I would think so.
You've already smashed your car into the inside wall. It's clearly not your day. You just affected guys racing for the championship. Now, admittedly, how much is it really doing to each of them? Not a whole lot. You know, they're solid in the chase as it is, but still, it can be frustrating as, well, those drivers did not heed my thoughts, at least. Zach, what do you think of that? They just burned their last set.
If this race goes green, they're going to be on the fresher tires, but
if there is another caution, they're done. I mean, they just handed... If there is a caution at any point in more than 10, 15 laps, they've just handed the win to one of Jordan White, Zach King, or Coulter Clark. That's my opinion.
Well, they're just going to have to fight like heck. That's the best way that I can say it.
I mean, can you
They're
confirm...
going to have to fight like heck.
Can you confirm the tire set allotment? Because I mean, the league details stated 3 change sets. That's what we have on our stuff, and I would be shocked if there's 4. Here we go, though. Into the restart zone. 45 to go. This is getting interesting.
4 sets, so 3 sets laying.
Yeah, there you go. Green flag back in the air. 45 to go, and all these drivers that just pitted are on their final set of tires. More power to them, Zach. We'll see how this goes. I'm not sold on their strategy, but maybe we do go green. Who knows? Bad nice to the inside of Hughes. Big move there for the 24 car. Moped at the racetrack. CJ Allen into the top 10. Moped has the run. He clears Vad Nice easily. Problems to the 24 car.
Yeah, 3 wide in the middle right now. Jordan White right to the bottom. Coulter Clark locks up into turn number 1.
He hit
There's
the 10
contact.
car.
He crosses over. 3 wide off of 2.
Coulter hit the 10 car briefly there into turn 1. There's a move from Jordan White to the inside of CJ Allen. You see Vad Nice into Combs there on the left side of your frame. King getting clear away. Clark as well. And these guys are all over the place. Gross out ahead as there's a big dive from Jordan White down to the inside of Greg Vad Nice. Trying to get this spot away. Falls back out of turn 2. Back in line. There's King just behind. So, I mean, Jordan got the lucky dog. And he also pitted, by the way, but just for fuel, it looks like. Did not take tires. Look at that. Here comes King. There's the block from Vad Nice. Big move. Jordan White right to the bottom. Slide job there. How about that?
This race is getting juicy as we get to the end, Andrew.
Spinner! Elijah Moken! Jinx, you owe me a Coke. The car looks okay for Elijah. That is the first caution that is going to help those drivers who pitted under that green before that previous yellow. That gives them a reset.
Going to benefit. Oh, wait. You and I were about to say the same thing there again. It is going to benefit the drivers that just pitted.
No. It's helping the guys who... Well, there you see the spin for Elijah. It was just a self-spin off the corner. It helps the guys like Jordan White, Coulter Clark, and Zach King. It bunches them back up. If we know they're faster, even on slightly imbalanced tires, Zach, it catches them up to the leaders. They're now a couple of tenths behind the leaders versus a couple of seconds.
But at the same time, the leaders that just pitted, now we're not putting green flag laps on these tires. We're putting caution laps on these tires, which makes them, not get torn up that much, which means they're going to have more tire at the end should these guys that got the wave rounds decide to pit again and take those tires.
I suppose. But
less of a difference, you could say.
If King, Clark, and White are better on old tires, there's really not a hope if we do get a caution and 10, 15, 20 laps, and they do put those tires on. I'm sorry to be dystopian and pessimistic for the drivers that don't have a set left, but if they're faster than you on old tires, I'm not very hopeful for what would happen when they have better tires. Doug Scalos in the pit lane, he's taking service. He's had a bit of a rough morning. Yeah, I mean, we can go ahead and ask point blank one of these drivers who's on the older tire, well, the newer tires currently, but doesn't have a set left. Let's go ahead and do that. Chris Romano currently in second spot, and Chris, I know the last couple of weeks have not necessarily gone the way you've wanted. You've played second fiddle a bit to Jourdain White, but today, an opportunity a couple of times to run down the 77. You haven't gotten there yet. And what's the situation with these tires for you guys?
We had none left. Just felt like the safest move, considering we took tires when other guys didn't, was to take them there. Just, I don't want to hope for a caution, you know, because it might not happen. So figured that was the best move, and we'll see how it shapes up. I'm pretty sure they have another set, those three guys that didn't pit, so hopefully we go green here. I think that's probably our best shot, but we'll see.
I won't lie, I'm a little perplexed myself at the choice, but frankly, I see how it can work out. How many fingers and toes are crossed right now?
A lot.
Fair.
Kind of hard to drive with them crossed, but I guess hypothetically speaking, for sure.
Fair enough. Best of luck here.
Appreciate it.
I like that. We don't have to agree on the call. I can admit, though, I can see how it can work out, and it's good to know that he's driving with his hands and toes and fingers, everything crossed. Elbows crossed, maybe as we get back racing. Here comes Jourdain White to the inside. Big send to turn one, and he has got third spot. Maybe.
Still a big maybe as they're side by side off the corner. White is just hanging on the door right here.
Oh, there's contact! Off the racetrack, both in the wall. Cameron Combs and Sean Hughes. They hit the outside safer barrier in turns 3 and 4. And Hughes is all the way back to 9th. That's not going to sit well, but I don't know that anybody did anything wrong. I mean, they were just 3 wide, entered the corner, and Hughes got up the racetrack into Combs. That just happens.
Personally, I think that's going to be a teaching moment right there. Because
there goes Combs!
He's spinning again!
Coulter Clark, what a miss! Combs around. Nobody hits him. Oh, man, that's lucky.
You saw Coulter Clark jump on the brakes, too,
yeah.
right?
I thought he was absolutely smacking the side of the 15. I'm impressed by Coulter there to get on the brakes big time, not lock up and slide into him. Here's the spin for Cameron off of turn 2. Loose. Around it goes, and you see a bit of that miss from Coulter Clark. Don't worry, we'll get a replay in a moment from him.
A great miss by Vad Nice, too.
Yeah, both of them did a great job. Here's the look on board inside the car. Driver's eye POV for Cameron. Down to third. Just hooks the apron right there. As soon as it got back into the banking for him, it just came around. I say the apron, the flat is what I meant. It got that bottom lane with the left sides and de-wedged the car. And you know, in an older stock car, even an O'Reilly Series car, something like that, I don't think that happens, Zach, but in this car, with how touchy this Cup car is, you hook that apron, or the flat just barely with those left sides, it's going to upset the car. Maybe not. He didn't hit it. There's the Murris Mega Miss, though, for Clark. Wow.
What a job right there by Coulter Clark. That was amazing to jump on the brakes like that.
You could maybe give it to Vad Nice, too. Here's a look at it for both of them.
Yeah, this is both of them in frame right now, just in front of him, out of frame. There you see him starting to spin. Vad Nice.
Oh, Elijah, too.
Hey, just took a hard left right there by Vad Nice. Did a great job. I think it was closer, in my opinion, for Coulter Clark right there. That was a great miss right there.
Combs calling it a day, unfortunately.
Yeah, that just sucks to see. But I think one thing that we were touching on before that caution came out, Andrew, was Jourdain White 3 wide down into turn number 3, and you saw Hughes and one other go up into the wall. What I was trying to say before we started going into the caution was I thought that was going to be a teaching moment there for Hughes, because Jourdain very much hung on his door going down into the corner, but again, Jourdain really didn't do anything wrong. I think Sean just got a little tight kind of missed his mark going into the corner. A little bit of an intimidation tactic, you could say, out of Jourdain that caused that 75 car to push up into the racetrack, or push up the racetrack into the car to the outside, making contact, sending them both to the wall. While not illegal or unprecedented in any way, it's something that Hughes, I think, needs to watch out for and expect as rolling into the corner. Sometimes it can get a little tight.
Yeah, Jourdain ran him really hard on the backstretch, was on his door, and then into 3 kind of pulled off and let Sean do his thing. And Sean's watching the mirror the whole time into 3, knows he's there, feels him there, and then I think maybe had a little extra rear bias in it, and the back end came around on its way into Combs, and up the racetrack they both went. Here we go, restart from the fan cam. A little over 30 to go at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Green flag again at the Magic Mile. Jourdain White, Zach King, contact. Here comes King to the middle. Chris Romano now defending over car 51. Now they go into turn 3. All over the racetrack. Romano all the way to the wall.
He'll get a good run on corner exit, but it won't be enough to hold on to that second spot. Now he's side by side with Coulter Clark for third. And Clark sends that 54 down to the bottom. And, well, Andrew, I think I'm eating my words here on the fact that the 51 and the 54, we're not going to be able to catch these guys that quickly. But here we go. Race for the lead. Gross outside of King.
Oh my gosh, Greg Van Nice, where are we going? Into the wall hard. Hughes gets him spinning now. Well, he saves it. No caution, never mind. People's around.
Oh.
Allen into him. Mopin gets a piece and nearly getting right hooked again. There was a 24. Coming to a stop, Doug Scalise. Holy cow. Coulter Clark. Fastest lap there, a 29.397. A lot just happened. Let's go back and go back through it all. Golly. So we saw the battle for the lead up there. King on Gross. All of this was happening in the background. So here's 51 again. Sets up. I mean, this is really, really well done. A little higher on entry. Hooks right there. Nearly hit by the 54. Just barely got down across Coulter's nose. In the wall there was Sean Hughes. Vad Nice goes low. So you see that move from King, and then Vad Nice just buries it off into turn 3. Hughes saw it coming that time, got out of the way, but then still got him on the exit.
Vad Nice still coming down the racetrack, and Peoples was on the apron and just, I don't know, carried way too much speed coming back up on the transition. I think he saw that the gap was there and he wanted to grab the spots. So this is on board with Vad Nice.
He's 16 laps down,
fourth gear.
Way too
rolls
deep.
Way too hard in the corner. Did he money shift going into the corner?
I think he popped it down to second gear to try and get it to stop. Peoples.
That's what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying, Zach, if he's on a lead lap trying to get those spots, but he's 16 laps down. And,
yeah, you saw the rear end. You saw the sparks. The bottom end, or the rear end, touched the
well, he got the grass,
and that's what set him around.
He got the grass on the inside. Watch this, but he's 16 laps down. This is going to impact not just himself, but, I mean, boom, big hit for Allen, and that's a teammate of his. So, I mean, you talk about risk versus reward sometimes. Check up, hit the brakes. I mean, you're 16 laps down, and you just damaged your teammate who's on the lead lap. I hate to be blunt. Hopefully he sees it when he looks back at it. I mean, mistakes happen, right? You think you're going to get by it, but you clip the grass, and suddenly, never mind, you're not. And you're hurting your teammate's car. And again, I get taking the chance if you're racing on the lead lap, but you're 16 down. I don't know. We will restart with just over 25 to go. Want to take a look at what's upcoming for us here at Pit Stop TV. There you go, Zach. Couple of dates at California. We are all in on the D-shape ovals this week. How about that? California, a couple of days in a row, and then we go to Richmond on Wednesday with the Full Send Cup Series. So we now have kind of... I actually love this. On the weekend, we have a Cup League. Right in the middle of the week, we have a Cup League. So we get 2 doses of Cup racing right now. And we get to compare it very much to what the Cup Series in NASCAR is going to see soon and what they just saw, because AARN is kind of ahead and Full Set is kind of behind. So we get kind of a really cool compare and contrast. You also see the next couple of days, Nora at California tomorrow night, and then BRB is there on Tuesday. Nora is almost in the chase, and BRB is crowning a champion this Tuesday. Green flag in the air once again. Big moves for King on the restart. Here we go, turn one. I will say, as much as I just grilled Peoples, it's good to see him continuing on, and I want to give him credit for not giving up today, trying to get all the spots he can. Mistakes happen. I want to be clear that, there's no personal anything. Mistakes happen. That's part of learning, but I am still going to give my thoughts about it. As here we go. Coulter Clark on the outside of Casey Gross. This is for second spot, and that's not going to take too long. Here comes White.
Big bump to the back of Coulter Clark.
By the way, really no takers under that yellow, and frankly, these leaders now don't need to take tires unless they want to play against themselves. As Gross slides off of turn 4. Great catch by him, but that's going to take him all the way to the back end of the top 10. There he is, 9th place into turn 1. These guys now that are out in front of the top 3, the only reason they'd take tires now is if they want to try and outsmart one another, because they've just passed everybody who's on better tires. Oh, big lockup.
Oh, lockup right there by Hughes. One of the big things that have been a talking point so far through this race is lane changing on the restart, and Zach King almost got nabbed for it on the restart not too long ago. So these guys have been a little touchy.
Look, maybe this is a point of review. To just be honest, going back to Dover this summer, there was some conversation about it there, but it wasn't getting called. And I actually recall specifically the 16 change lanes on a couple of restarts. There were no calls for it. So I'd be surprised if there were calls for it today. We saw a lot of no calls just a few weeks ago for lane changes. And I don't know that it's really been a call much this season. I actually look back, it is a rule, but it hasn't been a call.
Now that I think about it, I haven't seen anybody get called on the restart before.
Right, but I recall at Dover, the All-Star race technically, I went back and I looked because I saw a couple of lane changes. It's a rule. I'm like 95% certain of that, but it wasn't getting called that day, so I think it might maybe be an outdated rule, or maybe kind of like, hey, we don't want to see you egregiously doing it, but we're not going to call every instance. I'm not sure, but we're nearly down to 20 laps to go. You said it was King that may have changed lanes?
It was very close. He did not change lanes, but it was apparently very, very close.
Let's see if we can get a look at it really quick. There we go. This is down the front stretch. Starts to come up. I mean, he does make that turn back to the right, admittedly. But, I mean, that's less egregious than what I recall from that Dover race, so... If it was okay at Dover, I think that's okay there too. 20 to go. We're nearly there, Zach. I want to wait a little bit longer because we do still have some great battles back here, but we are very, very close to nominating 4 drivers for Driver of the Day. I'm excited. That's a good pass from Romano, by the way, up back to the top 5. He's now behind Stout, and what a stout run, actually, from Stout. This might be worth mentioning for Driver of the Day. We don't know anything about this guy. Sight unseen pretty much coming into this morning's race. Comes in, first start. Sure, I grilled him earlier for getting into, I think it was Combs earlier in this race, and I stand by that because, I mean, hit him, spun him. But, just like with Howard Peoples, mistakes happen. Doesn't mean you're a bad driver. And, frankly, he clearly is not. You know, up into 4th spot, and... he's not that far back. I mean, a second and a half or so of the guys ahead. This is a pretty good run.
Very solid run out of that 4-car, or out of that 9-car in the 4th spot. Sorry, I just saw that paint scheme on track last night, so I really should have been a little bit more on top of that one.
Is that the one that Chase was running last night?
That was the one that Chase was running last night.
It's not my favorite color in the world, but the metallic finish to it is pretty nice. We may still have a battle for the race win here shortly.
And honestly, bringing up the Richmond race from last night for the NASCAR Cup Series, I think walking in from the perspective of a fan and as a driver, and then also switching to the broadcast booth this morning, even if I was a tad late, you can dock my pay if you want, but it's weird because it has me thinking about an interesting parallel. When in the booth or looking from a TV camera, you don't always get to see certain things about drivers that you follow along in the race. And one of the few drivers that I was following along last night was Bubba Wallace, Tyler Reddick, and Chase Elliott, and even Denny Hamlin, because those were 4 drivers that really stood out to me on how their runs were forming. Chase didn't have the greatest qualifying performance, and he worked his way through the field, ended up 6th at the end, or P5 actually, I think it was. Denny Hamlin marched his way through the field throughout the race, and then you had Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick having differing parallels. Reddick started in the back, got to the front by the end. Bubba Wallace ended up not benefiting from pit stops and caution flags, going from the front to the back. And sitting there watching those drivers, you're able to follow those parallels and how it adapts throughout the race. Meanwhile, jumping into the broadcast booth here, we cut different drivers constantly, so you're constantly focusing on different aspects of the race and constantly focusing on different drivers and how they have adapted throughout the race, i.e. these top 3 that we have been focusing on all race long, and then the midfield and how these guys have been adapting throughout the race and constantly swapping spots. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk.
Well, 14 laps to go that time, Zach. I think it's as good a time as any. As the top 3 run away with this one. Who we got? Driver of the day.
I'm going to go with an obvious pick that we already covered. Stout in that number 9 car. He's up 7 spots. He's in that 4th position. He has had an up and down day, and he has realistically proven himself to be a top 5 contender. And, well, I think he's a solid pick for driver of the day. I think another driver to look at as well, as much as I'd love to pick Zach King for how much he has led so far and up 4 spots, I'm going to go with the driver right behind him that started on the pole position, Coulter Clark. He has had a very interesting day so far, as Jordan White seems to be passing him up way up to the outside.
Do you want to change that pick?
Coulter's... No, I'm still going to stick with Coulter. Started on pole. He's had a very up and down day. He has saved his race more times than not, so I think that 54 car is deserving of driver of the day.
I do want to give honorable mentions to specifically Sean Hughes and Joseph Conan, but I am going to play it very vanilla here and just take the top 2, Zach King and Jordan White. You look at the day that King has had, 71 laps led. He's going to lead, if he leads to the flag here, over half the race. In fact, over 80 laps if he's able to hang on, and does so from starting 5th. I mean, he's got a lot going on. We covered it earlier, right? Mentally, and this mental game, losing the points lead, all of this going on the personal side, to stay in the game like this and frankly dominate this race the way he has, I think says a lot. He has not been a dominant driver this season, only has a couple of wins, Indianapolis being the most recent win for him, and sure, that's recent. I think it was Martinsville earlier in the spring, so Martinsville, I think, and Indianapolis, those are pretty far apart. A win here today, A, bodes well for Martinsville in the fall. B, momentum. This is huge to get a second win this close to Indianapolis. It'd be the 3rd on the season. And then Jordan White, he's fresh off of 2 straight wins at Iowa and Richmond. Come here to New Hampshire. Still a solid run for him. No laps led, though. I mean, leaving a little bit on the table, but if there's any time to get up there to Zach King, it's now. 9 to go. That vote is now live over on YouTube for North American Racing League Driver of the Day here at New Hampshire. It's our top 3 for the win. Jordan is not giving up. Great battle behind him, too. We still could have a caution. And with those guys having tires up front, anything could change. Here's Casey Gross, Chris Romano. Look, these guys have not run a bad race necessarily, but they missed it on the tire strategy. There's the hit! Romano into Gross. No caution. Gross saves it. He is getting bullied late in this race. Here comes Hughes to the inside of Romano. Wow. How about that?
That was close right there, but it all works itself out. As the leaders have rolled up on CJ Allen to put him a lap down.
And the
Did someone
leaders
just go through the infield?
I didn't see it.
In
Here we
three
go.
and four.
There's the hit. White into King. King does not gather it up. Spin from the race lead. Jordan White got him, and I think CJ Allen just did the 51 in potentially. Maybe not. I thought he hit him.
That's not going to go over well with the 51.
It's not, and they're in the same Discord channel. I can only imagine. I'd love to be a fly on the wall.
What do you say we pull one of them?
I think we'll avoid that for now. I don't have a sensor machine. Let's go back. I mean, this is certainly not intentional, but you can't deny that he hit him, right? I mean, Jordan just trying to get there ends up getting there a little too quickly. Right in the left rear as, oh yeah, Allen hit him hard.
Thankfully, King has a set of tires, and he could start ripping through the field.
Well, I mean, that's the trouble. Did the leaders cover this off? Do you have enough laps to use the tires? We're only going to have a couple of laps when we get back green, but there you see Jordan just carried too much speed, got to him in center, and might have even picked the gas back up, and man, Allen just hit him so hard. Thankfully, I think King got spared from most of the damage from Allen, because I think Allen hit him in the bumper more than the rear wheel. This will be something that Jordan has to look back at and think, man, how can I avoid this next time? He just rolled into him. And there is something to be said, Zach, for training yourself at following other cars to learn where your bumper truly is. You can feel it more or less in a real car. You can't feel it on iRacing. We are having pit stops, I think. No. Well, yes, Vad Nice is in, and Zach King pitted. Zach, he took tires, and man, okay. Jordan White to the rear.
It seems pretty obvious that was going to end up happening.
Yeah.
For the 83 car, I mean, that was a little egregious, but you know, a lot of these guys are all still learning.
I mean, like we just said for Howard and for mistakes happen. It's a mistake from Jordan, and I mean the homework for him now is to look back at that and think, all right, how did I hit him? Well, rolled up to him. All right, how can I avoid that? You know, next time he's in that spot, I think maybe a stab of the brake, get the car to rotate a little bit, or just like I said, I mean, training on following cars. It's understated, honestly, but it goes so far. Learning the exact bounds of your car, not just left and right to the wall, so you can maximize lap time, but front and back, so you don't hit people. This will be an interesting restart, that's for sure. Everybody on pretty old tires, except for this guy, Zach King, who's going to restart back in 10th position. You mentioned it, 3 laps to go. I don't know if King wants overtimes or not here. I'm not sure if it would actually help him or not.
It may help him a slight bit, but he needs to bunch up on these restarts. I've told him, spot and form, he needs to bunch up.
He's trying to get around is what he's trying to do.
Coulter Clark sends it down into turn number 1. He gets big time clear second.
King trying to send it right through the middle. Oh, man. That's already some big moves. He's up to 7th as it is. On the outside, right behind Mopin. He's going to hang a left through the middle now between Essenberg and Mopin. Down to the inside. That's 5th spot. 5 positions in 1 lap. They're all in the wall. Guys, it is not raining. There they go. Crashing maybe. 2 to go. There is a stopped car. No yellow yet. That's Conan back there. And King's in 3rd.
King is rolling. He's using that bottom line. He is going to try to get up to the 2nd spot.
Oh, he spins!
No,
he spins! There's the caution, and it's Zach King! Oh, man, how?
And that's King's race because the right front is now disconnected.
You're kidding me.
I don't know how we do that there. That's a pretty...
That was rough. That was rough.
One has to look at the fact that Zach King was absolutely rolling. Everybody getting into the wall back there really benefited him, and well, if he would have been able to dispatch the 9 quickly, it would have been an easy run up to Coulter Clark.
I feel so bad for this guy. Admittedly, he did it to himself. Got too low there, hit the bump on pit exit.
But see, that's fine. He spins, and that is the egregious part right there from Peoples, and the wreck has already happened. The caution is more than likely out at this point as well.
Here's this move for King.
The run was amazing.
See him get down there to the inside. 72 up the racetrack. He just nails Gross and Scaleless. They slide and spin. Peoples got hit there. Cohen, I'm not sure how that wasn't a caution, first of all. But then King, yeah, I mean, sure, he split himself, but did not deserve to get hit like that. And so there, I mean, he's essentially stopped, middle of the racetrack, and I think Peoples was loose off of 2, to play a little bit of devil's advocate, but he was still in that spot on the racetrack for quite some time, doing everything he could do to be predictable and not roll. And again, 16 laps down. I can see it a little more from driver's POV, but that still is, again, something to look at and think, all right, how can I avoid this next time?
Missile right there.
Yeah, I mean, I can play devil's advocate, and I can see it a bit more from watching it inside the cockpit, but it's still something you got to look at and think about how to avoid next time.
Well, I'm going to play a little bit more than devil's advocate and say right there that Peoples, not to bash him in any way, but when you're locking down for a wreck like that, it's best to just remain confident in the line that you already have. Be heads up of what's going on in front of you, and don't just immediately lock it down, because that's what turned him into a heat-seeking missile. He downshifted to 4th and started trying to lock it down, and the car itself gripped up when you lock up the brakes, and it kept his line and his momentum straight towards Zach King.
Well,
ease up, let yourself drift.
More positive look here. 2 laps to go. We are in overtime. A look at the overtime rules. We have 2 laps, green and white. If we get the green lap in, the race is official. If we don't get the green lap in, it's not official. We have 2 more attempts at a restart, and we'll re-rack and restack as many times as we need to. Green flag, Coulter Clark in the restart zone, launches down the front straightaway. 2 to go at New Hampshire. I told you we might get overtime. Jordan White is on new tires, by the way. There he is in the middle. Eddie's spinning, crashing, massive, massive accident. Oh. Well, there's perfect practice of not getting the green lap in.
Oh boy.
This is a lesson in keep the track position, I think. Although Jordan was back there already. Here's the move from Jordan down to the inside in turns 1 and 2 on the apron.
Wide.
Did get into Doug Scaleless there, got clear of him, and then Doug gets him. I mean, he just hit him.
That was a wild one right there. I think Doug got loose and straightened the car back out and got into Jordan in the process.
Yeah,
because you could see the snap out of the 16.
Here's the move from Jordan White. He's on brand new tires. These guys are on 30, 40, 50 lap old tires. Does get Doug there on the move, and then DJ Allen, Corey Powell, Greg Van Nice. All right, here's the onboard from Scaleless.
And Scaleless down into the corner. You see Jordan. Just snap back to the right real quick.
Yeah.
Now, it's hard to call.
Watch
the
it again
interesting
here.
thing is what's taking part. Jourdain throws it in, and it's hard to say. Especially since with the driver communication going on right now, it would appear that Jourdain is very irritated. He thinks that was an intent wreck right there. Well, the lights are out atop the pace car, Andrew, and Coulter Clark is going to do exactly the same thing that he did last restart, and he's going to pick the top line. And suddenly, we're talking more about that 9 car as well. He is up to the 2nd spot. 2 other cars that were taking over those top 3 positions, that would be Jourdain White and Zach King, have both seen themselves to the rear of the field or out of the race. You've got a few other cars that are closer to the front on this restart that we haven't seen. Mostly up there, you see Sean Hughes, Essenberg, Chris Romano, and Elijah Mopa in that top 6. So, Coulter Clark, I think, is going to have his work cut out for him on this restart with 2 laps to go. The rest are just going to be fighting for that 2nd spot.
There we go, a restart on the way. This has been a dramatic final 30 minutes or so to this race. Coulter Clark, restart zone. This is our 2nd attempt at overtime. Overtime rules back up on the bottom right. Here we go. 2 to go. New Hampshire. Let's try it again. A hit there from Stout. Gets up into Hughes. Coulter Clark trying to get away. Jourdain White trying to fire back through the field. He's not done. He's back there in 9th. Has a lot of damage, but not calling it quits. 1 spinning. It's Howard Peoples. No caution. We stay rolling. White flag is out. Brought to you by Whiplash Simcams, and the 54 has taken off. This restart is official.
Jourdain White is trying to get as many spots as he can. He's down to the bottom once again. Up into Essenberg. They're 3 wide off the corner. He's going to lose a little bit of ground, but trying to make it work. But it's all Coulter Clark out in front as we watch the battles unfold.
Look at that, 3, almost 4 wide into turn 3. White on the apron, hooks around for 4th. It'll be Coulter Clark to the stripe. That is now, I believe, 8 wins on the season. Clark wins. Stout, Romano, White, Hughes, your top 5. We'll go over the full results in a moment. How about that for Coulter Clark? It's like he's back in his midseason form. Win number 8 now on the year. Hard to call anybody else the championship favorite at this point in time. 2 races to go to the chase, Michigan and Daytona. Could he be at 10 before we even hit the chase? Really solid race out of driver 54. Was not necessarily the most dominant. Worked Zach King over for a bunch of laps earlier in this race. Finally got position on him, and with all of everything else that happened, all he had to do was stay out of trouble.
He certainly is going to be happy about win number 8 on the season. I think we need to start putting win stickers on that paint scheme, Mr. Clark, and showing off just how many wins that this 54 car has locked in, and looking like a reverse Polish lap right here.
Yeah, this is what he's been doing lately. This is his new signature move. It doesn't give us a whole lot of smoke in reverse, just iRacing, but this is his new thing. We'll go over the full results here shortly. This will be Jourdain White celebrating too. Honestly, after the drive back up into 4th there on that last restart, I don't disagree with it. He kind of deserves it, frankly, but there's Coulter Clark. Boy, oh boy. Can you believe, though, 8 wins? You know, we talk about similar numbers on the Nora side for Dalton Tucker. Of course, though, Dalton has been there all season. Coulter Clark entered this season a few races late, I think 5 races late, something like that. So he is still trying to get to the points lead, despite having those 8 wins. But this now puts him back over Jourdain White by 2. And you know, I look, they've got now 14 wins out of the 24 races that have been run, Zach. I went back and I looked at some stats last night too. This Whiplash Racing team, which technically includes myself for the stat that I'm going to mention, has not started any worse than first place for our top car for more than 2 weeks at a time at any point this season. And like, Whiplash Racing has won a pole so many times. I'm trying to think of how to frame this. How did I frame it in the team chat last night, Zach? I sent it to you.
You've gone no more than a week
there you go.
without having a pole, a win, or anything in some sort of that regard.
Since like March. it was just polls. There was a stretch from I think May to July or April to July of 9 straight pole position starts. So between the polls and sure, the races are a little harder to get to work in your favor. It's 1 lap for pole, it's all the laps for a win. Between the polls and wins, I mean, 14 wins for this team now, and certainly hoping to add more along the way as the fall approaches, and I think there certainly will be more along the way as the chase approaches. Here's your unofficial race results. Coulter Clark, Joshua Stout. Good to see him on the podium. Don't know anything about him yet. We're going to learn. As Chris Romano finishes 3rd, Jordan White 4th, Sean Hughes 5th. I guess the finger crossing for Chris worked out. Finger and toe crossing. We'll have to ask him the final tally. Fingers and toes that were crossed. Jordan White back up to 4th spot with the damage. Sean Hughes 5th. Joseph Essenberg, Elijah Mopin, Joe Cohen, and Greg Van Nyssen. CJ Allen, a rare start here on the Cup side. He finishes 10th.
Yeah, outside the top 10, Casey Gross is the last car on the lead lap. By the end of it, only in the 11th spot. Doug Scalise 5 laps down after that incident there at the end. He finishes in the 12th spot with Zach King after getting involved in 2 consecutive cautions. There it is. Ends up in the 13th position with Corey Powell in that Murtis Esports car. Ends up 14th on the day, 12 laps down. Howard Peoples 15th, 16 laps down. And then Jason Thomas, Cameron Combs, Thaddeus Friel, and Chris Winstone. And round out your 19 car field.
We're talking to your top 3 here in just a moment as they all come down. In fact, there is Coulter Clark in the channel. Let's go ahead and grab him. As Coulter, this now makes 8 wins on the year for you. Looking like double digits are in the play before we go chase racing here in a couple weeks.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely gonna try my hardest. That was a crazy race there at the end. I didn't think I was gonna be able to make the laps on fuel, so yeah, I was just lucky enough to be able to do that and still have enough for a burnout. Sucks for King and Jourdain. I know what happened to them. I saw it and I knew what was going to happen. I'm surprised I didn't get caught up in it. Was just able to go around the outside. Almost got clipped from what it looks like in the rear view. But yeah, I was just able to hold on from the 9 there. I knew he had fresher tires, so it was just prioritizing the old restart well. It worked.
What was the official lap count on field? Because we theorized about 50 to 60, and it seemed like you guys, based on your pitting habits, were around that.
Yeah, I think I looked, and I think it was 50 or 51. So I dragged that out. Basically, it felt like I was running on fumes.
And of course, just avoiding the troubles seemed to be all that you needed to do there late. You guys had older tires, drove back through the field. The 3 of you, Jourdain, and even Zach King, put yourselves out front, just had to avoid that. Of course, King pitted, got tires. Well, he got turned, right? First by Jourdain, then pitted, got tires. I mean, what was all of that like, trying to navigate that? And what was it like being a fly on the wall, I'm sure, in that conversation?
Yeah, it was difficult. The cars around us were not very forgiving, which I don't expect them to be. I mean, we're all out here racing for every position we can. But, you figure some guys coming through the field that'd be a little faster, you'd give them a little bit of a wave by, but we just didn't kind of get that, so that was kind of a struggle for us. But I mean, I don't know. There's just so much that happened. I knew there at the end that I definitely wasn't a faster of the 3, so I did let Jourdain by, try to see if he could do anything with his tires, try and help mine cool down a little as well. So me and him slowly started reeling back up to King, and then the incident with them. So.
And hey, leaving that all behind you, 25 laps led here, gets you to go to the next one, Michigan next week. How are we going to get either Chris Winstone or me in victory lane? Because like you guys got to share.
At Michigan?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do that. Michigan's my place.
Well, I mentioned after the BRB win on Tuesday, it seems like maybe you're getting back to your form. Do you feel like you're there now?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
The momentum's definitely in the right place right now. So I just got to keep it there and try and not fall back into that hole that I was in.
That's the answer that the rest of the field did not want to hear. Zach Murtis, Coulter, good to talk to you. Congratulations, of course, and hopefully we're talking to you again soon with win number 9.
Yep, thank you guys.
Coulter Clark grabs another one here in the All-American Racing Network, and again, that's the answer that the field did not want to hear. It looks like we won't have Joshua Stout, unfortunately, so we won't be learning a whole lot about him here today. But Zach, that means you're talking to Chris Romano.
And Chris Romano ends up in the second spot. I'm not sure.
Third spot.
Third spot. I'm sorry. I'm not sure you were expecting to be there by the end of the race. Everything just kind of turned up and down, and well, you're still walking away with a top 3.
Yeah, I think you guys had the right idea about that strategy. That was not it. but yeah, it's just lucked out there at the end. I started on the outside and was able to get some spots. A couple guys drove a little deep, get under him, and get up to third. So should be good for points. Me and Sean are close up there, pretty sure now. So we'll see how it turns out.
Absolutely. And then as you roll into the next race, what's the mentality of the chase rolling up so close, and it's going to be crunch time now? How do you feel about your chances and rolling into this?
Yeah, I feel good. I believe next week's Michigan. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, I like Michigan. I like the 2-mile tracks a lot. I love Auto Club too. But just keep it clean, like I've been trying to do. And I know Sean's fast. I know Zach's fast. And just if I could get the regular season championship, that'd be awesome. If not, just hopefully come on at the end. I know the chase is gonna be hard with these guys, Whiplash guys, Zach. They're all fast, really fast. So. We'll see what happens.
Well, you put up a stout show tonight, especially through the chaos there at the end of the race. Congratulations on that top 3. Hopefully we'll be talking to you again next week as we roll into Michigan.
Sounds good. Have a good day, guys.
You as well, Chris.
And I will say,
good
Chris,
showing for the 44.
I plan to race that next week, so I promise if I start on pole, I will not be jumping the start. I will be racing.
Hopefully I'm outside of you again.
If he does, I'm going to make fun of him for it.
Oh
again.
My gosh. I can't believe I did that still. Good run, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And with us kind of pivoting to third there instead of second with no Joshua Stout, that means we will get to talk with Jordan White. Brace yourselves. I don't have a sensor machine, but let's go ahead and bring in the driver of the 83 after all of what was this race at New Hampshire. Jordan, what happened?
I mean, I stepped on it today, that's for sure. When it came to Zach King, that was a complete misjudgment. We're in the same VC. The last couple laps, I saw him running kind of like a higher line, like the middle, and then he would just take a huge cut down, right? And I was doing kind of the complete opposite, where I was just literally as low as I can running that line, trying to clip the inside wall on exits. And then there into turn 1, he ran a little bit lower, and I was still trying to run my line, and I just got a little bit tight in the center, and we made contact. Unfortunate to end his day, but I mean, I guess I got the karma back when the league owner wants to straighten out when he's on your left rear. So it's all good.
Well, and we definitely saw a handful of incidents there at the end, and I think everybody kind of has something they can look back at and change. So is there going to be maybe some homework, kind of sitting down, reviewing a little bit of this and going back to work for Michigan?
I mean, Michigan and New Hampshire is very different tracks. I wouldn't say I'm good at either. I mean, you could definitely see compared to my form the last couple races. It's not as good today. That last run was probably the best I was when I caught up to King. I was kind of surprised at the fact that I did that, but we'll see.
And look, this is all just to get into the chase, and we know you guys are good at the front. 2 more weeks, and then you guys are chase racing for a championship. What's the approach when we do get to Darlington to begin that chase?
When we begin the chase, it's like you're going to have to be perfect if you want to win the championship. How the points is set out and how far back we're going to start with no playoff points. It's really a thing of like, well, I'm pretty sure we have no playoff points. The guys that start off the chase at the front in the top 2, maybe 3 positions are the only guys realistically, in my opinion, that can win a chip. It's like impossible from 5th with how kind of little people show up in the league and kind of a little bit of the skill gaps as well. So we'll see. The goal was to try and get 3rd in the points, and that didn't happen because my teammate got the win. Congrats to him though. It's a great racer. Next week, we're just going to try our best to win the last 3 of the regular season.
I know you're frustrated. Thanks for talking to us.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. And hello, Zach.
Good job today, Jordan.
Yeah, I tried clipping that wall for Andrew so he could say something about it.
Instead it was Chris.
Oh.
Yeah, said it was Woodstone with the
yeah. Unfortunate for him, but it is what it is. We'll see if there's penalties after the race. Still, straightening out your wheel is very interesting, but let's see.
Well, it's good to talk to you regardless. Best of luck next week.
Mm-hmm.
And Zach, I'm not going to say necessarily agree with the sentiment, but you can definitely hear the difference from winning the last 2 races and now comes up short, 4th place. Definitely rough and tumble way to wrap things up. Yeah, a big difference from when you're on top of the world to kind of getting tossed around like a salad there at the end of the race.
What can you do sometimes? It's just the give and take of racing.
Yeah, definitely some frustration. Pretty clear to be heard there. We'll go ahead and wrap up that Driver of the Day vote here in just a moment. If you are still watching and have not voted, go ahead and do so over on the YouTube side quickly. You've got a couple of moments to do exactly that. But in the meantime, Zach, a big thank you to Bully Dog Coffee Company, Happy Pet HQ, Ideal Pest, Ideal Canine, Ideal Racing, Ideal Construction, the entire Ideal family. This has been the Ideal Racing or Ideal Family 150 here at New Hampshire, won by Coulter Clark. A big thank you to our partners as well, Whiplash Simcams, MX-Wraps.com, ATVO, Murder Esports, CC's Business, the North American Racing League, Whiplash Creative, and TZO Designs. And, well, we gave a little bit longer for that Driver of the Day vote. It is going to stay exactly status quo as it was. And, I mean, I know this guy that's going to get it is a little bit disappointed with how the day went, so this should at least soften it a little bit for him. As there he is in the pit lane, Zach, it will go to Zachary King.
Hey, at least he's got something to take away from today. I know it didn't really work out in his favor in terms of the race for the win, but so is racing. Sometimes you got to give and take, and, well, he gave a lot, and it took a lot from him.
It's at least some kind of silver lining, right, to get Driver of the Day, and I think certainly was the driver to beat. I think maybe at times Coulter was a little faster, but being faster and being ahead are 2 different things. We talk about getting to somebody and passing them being different things all the time, and that's exactly what that was today. Obviously, it still worked out for Coulter Clark, but I wish we could have seen this go just mano-a-mano, heads up. It is what it is. That's as you're saying, that is racing. That's exactly how it goes sometimes. A look ahead for us here at Pit Stop TV as we near noon Eastern today. There you go. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, NASCAR type stuff. It'll be California the next couple of evenings for the NORA Retro Cup Series and the BRB Sundance Pro Series. Race 25 over in NORA of 36. Of course, the chase begins in a couple of weeks when they come here to New Hampshire. And then for BRB, we're capping off the season. Dustin Stallings was in YouTube chat a little while ago. He is trying to fend off league owner Adam Buzzio for the championship. Dustin already has a Season 4 championship. That was in the Cup car, different cars. Adam, super close last season, and now this season, it's single digits between those 6 points, and there's a couple of guys just on the outside looking in as well, and with the stage in, well, the beginning of the race, stage 1, paying points. Certainly, I think anything is still possible for the top 3 or 4 drivers. And then Wednesday, Full Send Cup Series, roars into Richmond Raceway. That should be a lot of fun. Short track racing, always exciting. They had a great race, 32 cars, and some really cool vibes at Iowa this past week, and they're looking to continue that ride of momentum into Richmond this Wednesday. Should be a lot of fun. And then it's the Oxford 250 week for the Sim Auto Racing Association. Sarah this week going up to Oxford, Maine. We've got Legends and Super Late Models on track Thursday, and then Legends and Street Stocks on track Friday. And then we are taking the weekend right back off. Need some breathing room. It's a busy week once again.
Absolutely, but plenty of places to follow along with Pit Stop TV and just how much craziness is coming up in just a short amount of time. PitStopTV.com, Facebook.com/PitStopTV, Instagram.com/pit_stop_TV. You can follow the Discord link right there as well if you want to join in with all of the great stuff going on here at Pit Stop TV. Then there's TikTok.com/PitStopTV1, Twitch.tv/pit_stop_TV, and YouTube.com/PitStopTV1, where you yourself can participate in the Driver of the Day vote, sponsored by NARL. And also, as we roll into Tuesday, will be the MX Raps Best in Show throughout the course of the first stage in the BRB Sundance Pro Series. Not to mention, so much great racing. I think that's the biggest takeaway. When you come here to Pit Stop TV, you get to see some great racing in these leagues. So
well,
stick around. We've got some great shows coming up.
Did you mention the fantasy game for BRB that ends this week as well? So I mean, the championship on the track and the fantasy game wrapping up, and we actually have already scored this past week's race. Is Brendan Maddox leading, Chris Winstone 15 back, Josh Conover 17 back, Rusty Rafferty 27 back, Kevin Baumler 36 back. I'm out of the running. You're out of the running. Jordan White's out of the running. But I'm excited to see how that caps off. Somebody's getting a diecast from me, and that sucks because I wanted to keep it. But alas, it is not mine for very much longer. Clearly, it's going to be one of those three, I think, at the top. Maddox, Winstone, Conover. That'll be decided Tuesday night, just like the driver championship on the racetrack. That is it for us this morning from New Hampshire Motor Speedway, one of my favorite places to cover racing. Means a lot to me, and boy, what a win for Coulter Clark. It's going to mean a lot for this season as well. All of the drama going on this morning, it's just going to add to all the storylines as we get closer and closer to Darlington to begin the chase. Going to be a lot of fun. Stay tuned. Don't miss anything here for the All-American Racing Network back in action. Not quite next week here on the channel. Will be Pirate Broadcasting, I believe, at Michigan next week. I plan to be on the racetrack and then Daytona. To cap off the regular season, we will be there. That is in 2 weeks' time, August the 30th. We'll see you there. Until then, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.